1,000. That's mortgages, cars, cards, student loans. But the national debt just hurt $37 trillion. It's all going up. Ask yourself this: when the system hiccups, who bails you out? It's not the Fed, not the politicians, and that's why I own gold. Gold doesn't need a CEO, doesn't need missed earnings, it doesn't freeze your account on a Friday at 4:59. While they print, gold just sits there doing what it's done for thousands of years. Store value. If you're done playing musical chairs with your savings, get something real in your hand. That's why you should try our good friends Kirk Elliott Precious Metals today. Goldwithjustin.com. Kirk and the team going to walk you through what they're doing, whether you're a seasoned pro when it comes to buying precious metals or you're just getting started. Call Kirk and the team today at 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, or go to goldwithjustin.com to find out how they can help you today. No pressure, just facts and a plan.
Top Monroe Center in downtown Grand Rapids. We're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on Wood Radio.
I said it. We covered it earlier this week in the after show, and I'm going to walk you through it a little bit later on today to show you what I mean and what this could mean for you. $2 a gallon gas by election time. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds absolutely nutty, especially if you're at the pump right now, but you got to realize there's a lot playing out behind the scenes, including the news we heard yesterday with the gas prices jumping the way they, by the way, had nothing to do with the war in Iran. There's a different country in the Middle East that may have, actually played a little bit better role.
Weather and traffic. Hang on. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
Yeah, the stories that matter most. Should be talking about them around the water cooler. No matter where you are, powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. Dave Galloway and then team want to make sure that you're set, whether you want to buy, refi, home equity, line of credit, whatever it might be. Dave and the team going to take care of you like they took care of me. Thousands of others that listen to this program, by the way. We've each saved buku bucks. And we home equity line of credit. We did refi as well. And each time, I mean, they're just faster. They're better than the big banks. You'll find out what I've been ranting and raving about for years now when you reach out at hhmlending.com, and mortgage rates, we'll find out where they're going in the next week or so with Dave.
Number one.
Stand by for the latest. Hey, the Department of Homeland shutdown finally in over 75 days. A record 76-day Department of Homeland Security shutdown is over. And it makes you wonder, again, Democrats are willing to do just absolutely anything and everything to make you suffer. They don't care about you. This all could have been ended, long time ago, and yet they refuse to move. So what did budge? What happens? We'll explain coming up. Now the TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, all of it funded through September, and all of it still intact.
Number two.
Big stories continuing, and prosecutors releasing a new video showing the frantic moments. Speaking of which, we learned some of those guys weren't being paid while they were there. Some of the secrets. I think the guy that got shot, I had heard. Now we had to fact check that, but it's insane what that illustrates. The frantic moments leading up to it all, you'll see caught on video. Now it's out HD. You can watch the guy run through and what actually took place as they were able to take him down to the ground and stop him from creating any more devastation and destruction. He came in with multiple weapons, a shotgun, including a pistol and some knives. Thank God they were able to stop him.
Number three.
Louisiana Republicans now delaying U.S. House primaries just a day after the high court's decision. Louisiana, just one of several Republican-led states eyeing changes to boost the party's efforts to shore up more House seats. Looks like Axios said the other day that this Supreme Court ruling could end up with the Republicans receiving 19 more seats there in the House. Justice Department says they're going to enforce that ruling at every state with racially gerrymandered districts. And it makes me wonder, how many do we have here? We know we've gone through some of that. Well, creative is probably the best way to put it. Some of the creative redistricting that's ended with this state being, more blue than probably purple. So let's dig into that and more coming up in just a moment. So we'll give you a chance to weigh in on the conversation as well. Jump in on the phone. It's a free-for-all Friday, folks. You can join now on the iHeartRadio app. Use that talkback button feature, the little microphone. Click that thing, rant, rave, comment, complain. I'd love to hear from you either way.
Have something to say? Say it here.
Come on, people.
Are they insane?
This is America.
It's Free for All Friday. Talk to Justin now. 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on Wood Radio.
All right. I'll get to the $2 a gallon gas story coming up here in just a little bit. First, I'll talk with our good friend, Kyle Olson at the Midwestern of the Midwesterner.news, the founder. A lot of big Michigan stories. Hey, Kyle, let's start, in fact, with this story because I do think, there are states. This is going to change the landscape of a lot of states, and I know this is mostly done in the South, but I just saw Pennsylvania has a couple of districts that may have been racially gerrymandered as well. Anything in Michigan that we ought to be taking a look at? Welcome in.
Good morning. Well, I think there probably are. Of course, the situation we have in Michigan is there's a quote-unquote independent redistricting commission that's supposedly led by citizens. And what we saw when they redistricted just a couple of years ago, or I guess it was more than a couple of years ago, but it took forever and they were slow. And so I think the chances of Michigan redistricting, unless a court gets involved, I think is not real good.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. The court too, because we did hear, the Justice Department is going to get involved in some of these and enforcing. It does appear, and I don't know how this is going to play out, but it does appear that Trump administration, at least in some places, is ready to file some lawsuits. And I don't know that this makes sense or makes a difference rather between now and November, but still, it is interesting to note that this is something that is going to change the landscape.
Yeah, and I think it's something that wasn't anticipated. The administration sort of kicked off this idea of doing redistricting, and California was involved, and it looks like Texas, they're going to be able to redistrict the way that they want. And then who else got involved? Several other states, and so it seemed like it was sort of balancing out. But now with this court ruling, it looks like it's going to dramatically change.
All right, let's go from one Supreme Court to another. The Michigan Supreme Court this week banned ICE from courthouses. The wild and woke, and one of the funniest pictures, I think it was Heather Dow, Patriot Post girl over on X, who does some great work with this stuff. I think she's the one that made them all with clown wigs, except for, of course, the one conservative. But it's interesting to see this type of thing. We're still dealing with this insanity here in Michigan, and most folks have moved past this.
Yeah, and so basically what happened is a lot of people don't realize that the Michigan Supreme Court effectively controls a lot of what happens in the other courts. And so the Michigan Supreme Court issued a rule saying that ICE is banned from court property, and not just the Supreme Court, but courthouses across the state. But then they also added that they also cannot apprehend anyone who is driving to or from a court. which of course is, very ambiguous.
Ludicrous.
And this is why elections matter, because our state Supreme Court is elected. Right now, there is one conservative out of the 7, Brian Zara, and he said this is a problem in search of or this is a solution in search of a problem.
Yeah.
But what this is effectively doing is tying the hands of ICE, who have been in Michigan, arresting criminal illegal aliens, and it's making their work more difficult.
We got a budget yesterday from the Senate. We're going to talk with Senate Minority Leader Eric Nesbitt a little bit later on. He's running for governor coming up in the program, but a little bit of information about what went down with that. Senate Democrats reject Gretchen Whitmer's new taxes, approve $88 billion budget aligned with governor's priorities. That's the headline of the Midwesterner right now.
Yeah. So if you go back last week, the House Republicans passed a $72 billion budget, roughly, or about a $75 billion budget. And now the Senate Democrats have passed a budget that's more in line with what Gretchen Whitmer proposed, which was $88.1 billion, which was far and away a record. We've never seen anything like that. What was interesting was she, of course, wants to increase spending, but she also wants to increase taxes in order to pay for the increased spending. And the Senate Democrats have rejected the tax increases that she wants. So we're going to have to wait to see how exactly they balance their budget. But there is over a $12 billion gap between the House and the Senate. And it's going to be interesting to see how they try to settle those differences and maybe more importantly, when, because of course, last year, they have to have a budget by October 1st, and they were into October 1st before they finally had an agreement. Of course, it's an election year, so our legislators are going to want to be sitting in Lansing and fighting about a budget, or are they going to settle it sooner so they can go out and run for re-election?
Kyle Olson is the founder at the Midwesterner, the Midwesterner.news. Anything you guys are working on right now? I know we had a debate last night. Expect some headlines and updates from that a little later on today. We'll talk to Eric Nesbitt, who was there at the debate a little later on. But I know you're deep in the thick of it, working on stories that folks will be talking about in the next week or so.
Yeah, so over the next couple of weeks, the Secretary of State's office and the Board of Canvassers is going to be scrutinizing petitions and petition signatures and verifying those and approving those candidates for the ballot. We'll have to see how that actually unfolds. Of course, last time around, it was a disaster for several candidates. So you never know what Jocelyn Benson and the Board of Canvassers are going to do. So we're watching that very closely.
Yeah. Can you imagine she's going to oversee her own election? It's just insanity, but here we are. Thank you as always, my friend. Folks, don't just bookmark it. Definitely do that. But when you do go there, make sure that you put your information in your email so you can get updates, stay up to date on what's happening here in the Mitten and beyond with the Midwesterner, the Midwesterner.news. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
God bless. I promised, and I will work into the $2 a gallon gas. I promise. We talked about this. Matter of fact, I want to say it was maybe Wednesday on the after show, but I'll break down the latest, how we could, some say, get to $2 a gallon gas by the election. I know that's hard to swallow right now. It's hard to figure that. Oh, wait a minute. How does that work? We'll explain what's happening behind the scenes and give you a chance to weigh in. Coming up this morning, as we said, Senator Eric Nesbitt joins us in moments on the program, coming up at 9:35 as well. Back after this, it's West Michigan Live.
Focused on what matters to you. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM and on demand anytime on the
News original story, the Michigan Senate passing an $88 billion budget for the 2026-27 fiscal year, advancing a spending plan that closely mirrors Governor Whitmer's budget plan. Full details for you at themidwesterner.news. The Michigan Supreme Court rules ICE agents are now banned from arresting illegal aliens at courthouses. The rule, proposed back in November, came at the urging of the ACLU and Michigan Attorney General, liberal Dana Nessel. And President Trump asked by a reporter about gas prices. He says the temporary increase, worth it.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran. The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing.
Alrighty then. Well, you just heard, that's part of the preview into the gas talk. You just heard the president say, it's going to drop like a rock. So I think that's part of, that's going to tie into a little bit of what we're getting ready to talk about here with $2 a gallon. If I got enough time. Got people waiting on the phone we'd like to get to as well. Greta, good morning. Good to see you. Andrew Stuff, thank you so much, R. Reagan. Appreciate you being here with us. Folks jumping in on the VIP behind the scenes live stream this morning over on Locals on Rumble. Gary, Julianne, Gouda Lady, good to see you. History Diggers, thank you so much. Duga, Beasley, Jasmine, Jackie Ray, SJ, and so many others on Facebook this morning. Thank you for being here. Bonnie, Melissa, Heather, all appreciate you. Suzanne, Jessica, Joanne, Sherry. Where is Jason this morning? That's a good question. Where's our good friend at? If you're watching on the Tube, X, or Getter, let us know. Say hey and check in. Love to give you a shout out as well. Just let us know where you're watching from, and we'll do just that. If you haven't done it yet this morning, make sure you go ahead and click share. And we're going to put you in the running. Another winner today coming up at the end of the show. Everybody that shares the program, Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube. It doesn't matter where you show it from. Especially if you tag us over on Facebook, let me know. Then we can be able to give you credit for it. But yes, you can actually be in the running and win some cool gear from the store. A t-shirt, a hoodie, a mug, you name it. Something cool from inside the store. By the way, you could do your shopping there. We have the America 250 shirts and hoodies and whatnot coming soon. Got some gear on the way. But in the meantime, you may win some coming up. Very cool. All right, folks, back on the air here. Stand by for news.
America's #1 podcast network and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Set Wood Radio is a preset now on our iHeartRadio app. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
It could hit $2 a gallon. We did this in the after show earlier this week. There's a guy that did a rundown. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to play all of it here, but I want you to hear part of the strategy of what he just said. In fact, in the report and from the White House yesterday in the Oval Office, Trump said, when he gets everything straightened out with it, he goes, gas is going to drop like a rock. Some of the things we're seeing play out. And then the other piece that we didn't even get to before this came out because we didn't have that news yet could add to that.
I see the possibility of something happening that I don't hear anybody else talking about, which is that the United States might experience this energy gusher where we have $2 per gallon at the pump gas prices right before the midterms, while the world experiences a basically catastrophic energy shock. 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz, which is currently blockaded, but here in North America, our oil production is at all-time highs. But currently, we do not refine that oil here. We typically refine oil from Saudi Arabia and other places in America and send our crude elsewhere. But that's changing. Now there are new refinery plans here in the United States and plans to retrofit our refineries here to refine the oil that we pull out of the ground here. Here's a mock-up of the America First refining facility that they're planning for South Texas, which will refine the oil that we drill here. Meanwhile, Asia cannot replace the crude oil that currently they depend on from the Gulf states via the Strait of Hormuz. So the energy situation in many Asian nations is not looking good. Meanwhile, there is a natural gas shock happening in Europe where prices have risen by 50% because of the Iran conflict. And we are already starting to see European governments like Slovenia ration fuel.
Now, there's some sort of I don't want to say fear, but warning in his, and I'm gonna get through because there's you may say how do we get down to $2 a gallon? How does that actually happen? Well, first and foremost, is I want to leave some of the European Asian stuff out. I think that all eventually gets figured out, but this is something that folks don't realize.
Looking at our record production in the United States, making it so that we can refine and use it here while restricting exports. It's kind of isolationist. It's kind of like tariffs. It has an America First vibe, but it would lead us to a completely different world. One that has been called energy regionalism, where the price of oil is not global, but it's related to your region. It's consistent with the idea of the Don Roe Doctrine, where America projects power from the Western Hemisphere. It would lead to super cheap gasoline right before the midterms, reindustrialization of North America, while Asia and Europe struggle. What do you see?
So this guy had some interesting points, and the point that makes, I think, the at least the domestic. Now, somebody might say there's no way this is going to happen, but I think what we're watching play out is a reset of some of these resources. There's one, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I am saying that it is interesting. So when you see the you see the pain at the pump right now, which is a thing, I'm not denying that either. But when you see that at the pump right now, and then you hear Trump saying, "I think the price is going to fall through the floor," just remember there's a method to the madness. What a lot of the black pill doom and gloom left and media Democrats, but I repeat myself, but what they absolutely live out here is that there was a plan, there was a reason all of this started with Iran. There's and yes, nuclear was part of it, but there's something bigger happening behind the scenes, I think, at the same time as well. And I think what we're watching is some of that realignment happening. I could be wrong. By the time election come around, I mean, maybe you'll say, "Yeah, look, you completely missed this one." But I'm telling you, it's better than a 50-50 shot, and 50-50 shot could go the other way as well. But I just thought it was an interesting piece of discussion, and I'm seeing this. The reason why I'm bringing it up today is I'm seeing it pick up steam in the conversation online. More with you, Senator Eric Nesbitt, coming up next. We'll join the program. And the conversation continues on the fastest hour in radio as we fly right on through.
FYI, like literally, it's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
With iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why.
All right, I gotta find the part he talks about this is from the 70s. All right, this is the thing. Because a lot of people aren't paying attention to the executive orders right now. And I think this is part of the key. There's a lot of energy executive order activity happening right now. You know, they're issuing declarations of this emergency or that emergency. And I think part of this, well, Dan, that's a good point. He said, I would believe approximately $2.50 per gallon when I see it. I think in Michigan, we probably won't be at $1.99 because we got the taxes and everything else. But I think they will be back there in Texas and some of the other places that they had seen it previously. We may go even lower though if these things come into play. Now, let me get this piece out. There's one piece that makes this all possible. I'll probably have to play this on the air too again, but listen.
It hasn't done yet is exercise the Energy Policy and Conservation Act that was passed right around the 1973 oil crisis, which enables him to, without any approval from anybody else, restrict the exports of domestic energy resources. So here is Iran warning of $200 a barrel oil, which is very expensive and would probably trigger a global recession. But here you have banks warning that the 2026 crisis presents asymmetric macroeconomic impacts, meaning not everybody has the same experience. I see it as increasingly likely that Trump is looking at our record production in the United States, making it so that we can refine and use it here, while restricting exports. It's kind of isolationist, it's kind of like tariffs. It has an America First vibe, but it would lead us to a completely different world.
So essentially, there is a lever, because the law was passed in the 70s, that would allow the president, with a record production here in the United States, in North America, for him to say, we're not going to export any of this. Or for him to say, we are going to only export a certain amount. These things are on the table. I just want you to remember that these things are a possibility. I don't know if they'll play out or not. I don't know if this is how things are going to work out. It's also possible that the Iranians come to their senses, or who's ever left comes to their senses and say, we want to live. And they clear this straight. They get things back on track, and then prices then drop. Because the one thing we haven't mentioned yet, and I got to do this when I come back, the one thing we haven't mentioned yet is that the UAE left OPEC. And they left OPEC so they can produce more oil, make more money, and don't have to stick by the agreements of these other nations anymore. And so what does that mean for us? They're producing more oil. There's more supply. That means the cost globally goes down. In fact, one of the reasons why we've seen prices of at the pump, specifically here in Michigan, go up is because the UAE left OPEC. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody sees that. It's a piece. It's a piece of the puzzle. So, the other piece, we had refinery issues, and you got the summer blend. So you got a perfect storm right now unfortunately, with the prices that are that we're all experiencing at the pump, and there's really no way getting around it. It's tough either way you're going to pay. Now I'll do some digging and some research today, but I think they're still hovering at about $4.99 in some places, maybe over $5 in West Michigan. So we'll get into that. Hang on, stand by. Gotta wrap up, and then also get into Senator Nesbitt here in just a moment. Stand by. It's Friday, folks. Emmy, how is your mom doing? We prayed for her last week. She had the bypass surgery. It looks like 1 week ago today, he's saying. All right, well, we'll pray she gets to go home soon. They're waiting on some tests and some things to work out, flatten out, so to speak, before they can go home. Hang on, we got about 30 seconds there. Father, we just thank you for your healing happening in Emmy's mom right now. Lord, we just know that by your stripes, your word says that we are healed, and we thank you for it, that she'd have the opportunity to go home as quickly as possible. And thank you for the peace that she'll feel as she walks through it, and the whole family, knowing that you're with it, the peace beyond understanding. Jesus' name. Amen. All right. 10 seconds back on the air, folks. Stand by. Here we go.
Operations moving and your wrench is turning. Join over 13,000 maintenance teams that are already fixing more and filing less. Try MaintainX for free today. Go to maintainx.com/AI. That's maintain and the letter x.com/AI.
Michigan Live with our good friend Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
All right, I know it sounds crazy. $2 a gallon by the election. Is it even possible? We told you what one man was talking about. Now, I'm just, there's one little piece. There's a couple things I got to make sure, then I'll wrap this up. Senator Eric Nesbitt is standing by to come on the line with us here in just a moment. There's one thing left. This guy says Trump has in his back pocket. I think something from the 70s.
What he hasn't done yet is exercise the Energy Policy and Conservation Act that was passed right around the 1973 oil crisis, which enables him to, without any approval from anybody else, restrict the exports of domestic energy resources. So here is Iran warning of $200 a barrel oil, which is very expensive and would probably trigger a global recession. But here you have banks warning that the 2026 crisis presents asymmetric macroeconomic impacts, meaning not everybody has the same experience. I see it as increasingly likely that Trump is looking at our record production in the United States, making it so that we can refine and use it here, while restricting exports. It's kind of isolationist, it's kind of like tariffs. It has an America First vibe, but it would lead us to a completely different world. One that has been called energy regionalism, where the price of oil is not global, but it's related to your region. It's consistent with the idea of the Don Rowe Doctrine.
By the way, I'll put this up online in the stack if folks want to go check it out a little bit later on today, justinbarclay.com. So the prices could go down to $2 a gallon and even lower in some places, according to this guy. And I believe that's a possibility. Now, whether we get there or not, like I said, 50-50 chance. Although the people that are missing this are missing that Trump had a plan going in. And I believe part of this, what we're seeing shake out is the reason why. Now, at the same time, it's hard to swallow that when gas prices are, $5 a gallon here in Michigan. Now, why is that? What a lot of people are missing is that just the other day, the UAE said they're leaving OPEC. That made globally the prices, because of uncertainty, shoot up. We've got global oil prices over $100, right? And then we have here regionally the issues that we see from the summer blend being mixed in, and then also refinery issues. I think it was in Indiana where they had an issue there. So you got perfect storm making prices go up through the roof. One thing that you cannot leave out, and it is important to note, is that, look, diesel prices and long price of gas, and then the fertilizer as well. Those are all issues farmers are facing as well. Hey, why don't we talk to a farmer about that and so much more? Senator Eric Nesbitt is on the line with us this morning. Senator, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and thanks for covering the issues that matter, Justin. Really appreciate that.
So we know this is obviously, and I know it's kind of hard to believe, but I just laid out, that gas prices could go down to $2 a gallon. I know that's essentially where the president is trying to take us. He's trying to make things easier for folks. There's a little bit of a pain a little bit here in the meantime in between. We can't discount that. What are farmers going through right now, and what can we do in a state level to make it easier? There's a lot of folks that look at the price of gas and they go, well, the reason gas is so expensive or gas tax and things like that. But I know that y'all working on making that a lot more affordable for folks.
Well, this is the point. Right now in Michigan on energy overall, we've had an administration with Governor Whitmer and the Democrats in Lansing that wants to make us energy constrained. That means they passed the Green New Scam that will result in $2,800 higher home energy prices for families in Michigan. They've been blocking the Line 5 pipeline, which means better movement of propane and oil into Michigan and the surrounding states. They've continued to work the first year that Governor Whitmer came in, she proposed an additional 45-cent per gallon gas tax increase. Can you imagine paying $5.50 a gallon instead of $5 right now? And that's, there's a real challenge. If we're going to win the 21st century, if we're going to have families and job creators make it actually here in Michigan, that means first we got to repeal the Democrats' Green New Scam here in Michigan to make us energy abundant. Make sure we're building natural gas, nuclear plants, keeping our coal plants open so that we can compete and win in the 21st century. That means we stop this silliness of industrializing hundreds of thousands of acres of our farm and forest land for solar panels that are made in China, making San Francisco millionaires into billionaires. That's wrong. It needs to stop. And then let's unpack a little further. The last 20 years, let's look at where the two parties have been. You've had Obama and Biden that have tried their best to make us energy constrained, ban fossil fuels, shut down coal plants, not allow new natural gas plants to be built. And you've had a history of President Trump of saying, let's make ourselves energy abundant. And hydraulic fracturing in the United States has actually made us energy independent. Now, especially on the natural gas side. And so this is the point is long term, we got to continue to allow American ingenuity to happen to produce energy on American lands. That's how you bring down the cost. That's how you make sure families and job creators can make it here in Michigan.
Yeah, and it seems like the central theme of the government getting out of the way, particularly here in Michigan. Now, I know you're running for governor. Obviously, this is you just mentioned a stark contrast to what Whitmer's done. And gosh, I mean, she's still working on fixing those roads. Can't quite get that done.
She hasn't fixed the damn roads or fixed the damn dams, so that's the big challenge here in the state. But the larger issue as I go around Michigan is that Michigan is becoming unaffordable. We don't have the opportunities here. The average family in Michigan makes $9,000 less than the average family does nationally, and yet we're paying more for energy. We're paying more for insurance. We're paying more on property tax, and that's why I'm running for governor, is to repeal the Green New Scam to lower the cost of energy, to stop the industrialization of our farm and forest lands, to repeal auto no-fault to lower the cost of insurance, and to repeal the state property tax so that Michigan families can finally get a break.
Yeah, Senator Eric Nesbitt with us right now. Yesterday we saw budget passed, big news. We've been talking about that this morning as well. Talk about what's in that budget, what you're excited about, and maybe what folks need to look for.
Well, for this week, Senate Democrats have been digging deeper and deeper into your pockets. It's like they can't help themselves. They're addicted to spending your money. 3 years ago, when Democrats took full control of the legislature and Governor Whitmer, they blew through a historic $9 billion surplus. They wasted it on liberal pork projects, bloated government, handouts to global corporations for jobs that just never showed up. Then they raided the teacher pension fund and raise your taxes just to keep feeding their spending habit. And Governor Whitmer just introduced another $900 million of higher taxes for Michigan families. That's the wrong way to do it. They even included a new fancy $25 million capital park in Lansing. People can't afford this. Enough's enough. None of this keeps our streets safe, teaches our kids to read, and help Michigan families get ahead. And so what we've offered is something that makes sure that the government lives within its means. We continue to pay down debt, and we make sure that our kids are able to read. We slash regulations and bureaucracy in Lansing to make sure job creation can happen again. And we want to make sure people keep more of their hard-earned money. And that's what Senate Republicans offered dozens of amendments to slash wasteful spending, put money back in your wallet. We fought to lower property taxes, cut costs on baby essentials, to lower costs for families, and stop your tax dollars from going to illegal immigrants, soft on crime programs, or groups that support terrorists. And unfortunately, the Senate Democrats defeated each one of those proposals.
It just can't make that make sense. These are major issues that folks are dealing with, and of course, a bit of the behind the scenes on that. Big debate last night. You got a chance to make your case in front of lots of folks there on the other side of the state. Anything come out of that you're particularly proud of, or things that you noticed that opponents may have missed opportunities on?
Well, first off, this is the eighth debate that Congressman John James hasn't shown up to. He hasn't been showing up to votes in Congress, and he hasn't been showing up to debates here in Michigan. And so I think people expect folks to show up, and we've seen it over the last, the last 8 years. It's been tough for families to make it here in Michigan, and I'm running for governor to allow everybody to make it here in Michigan. And we know that John James can't even make it to Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer never showed up for us, and Jocelyn Benson never will. And the Democrats have made it impossible to make it in Michigan. They raised your taxes, cost of living, put woke nonsense into our schools, and gave free housing to illegals. But during COVID, they told me I couldn't be by my wife's side when we found out we lost our second born to a miscarriage. And that's why I'm running for governor. Because what happened the last 8 years under Governor Whitmer and the Democrats should never happen again. And as governor, I'll always show up. I'll end the state property tax, lower the cost of energy, get the woke nonsense out of our schools, and stand with President Trump to ban sanctuary cities and deport every criminal illegal so everyone can make it in Michigan.
Folks want to find out more. Obviously, maybe they can donate, or they can donate their time and volunteer. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, NesbittForGovernor.com, NesbittForGovernor.com. That's 2 T's. That's our website. You can take a look at our policy positions and our vision for the future. You can volunteer, donate, buy some merchandise. Nobody's going to outwork this farm boy running for governor. Somebody who went to Hillsdale College, somebody that understands how to enact real conservative reforms to turn the state around to make sure families can make it in Michigan. But yeah, NesbittForGovernor.com. We're on X, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Link, follow, share. Let's go ahead and let's win back our state. We need to.
Eric Nesbitt, Senate Minority Leader, always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend, for joining us. And, we'll talk soon.
Well, thanks, Justin. We can't let the worst Secretary of State ever, Jocelyn Benson, get anywhere close to the governor's office, and that's why we need to win this fall.
There you go. Make it in Michigan. Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Back with more in moments. We're going to give a chance to weigh in as well. Got some folks waiting on the line. 616-774-2424. Back after this on West Michigan Live. Powered by the Good Feet Store today and every day, by the way. Keeping up with the news is something that keeps me on my toes on the daily, and the Good Feet Store helps me do that and stay on my feet, whether it's work or play. You're going to feel the same way. You could do it all with comfort and confidence. Run around with my little girls, 3 and 5. The 5-year-old likes to fish, which is, a lot of standing around a lot of times on docks or on the shore of a lake, just sitting there waiting for something to bite. But now, think about it. I can do that and everything else without having to worry about having any issues with my feet or back or legs. And if you're going through those things, you may want to reach out, find out why I love the Good Feet Store today. Walk in 28th Street right in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westage in front of Kohl's, and see why I love, and you will too, the folks at the Good Feet Store. Do it today.
Informative, engaging. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Friday, May 1st. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. The Michigan Senate passing an $88 billion budget for the 2026-27 fiscal year, advancing a spending plan that closely mirrors Governor Whitmer's budget plan. All the details at the Midwesterner.news. The Michigan Supreme Court rules ICE agents are now banned from arresting illegals at courthouses. The rule came at the urging of the ACLU and Michigan AG, liberal Dana Nessel. And President Trump at the White House talking about new savings plans for Americans.
I'm thrilled to sign a historic executive order expanding access to high-quality retirement savings accounts for millions of Americans. In my State of the Union earlier this year, I promised to make the same types of retirement accounts enjoyed by the federal employees available to all Americans. So that's what we're doing.
For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Spring is in the air. Hopefully.
Yeah, she was asking last week. We went out to take a look. We got to get our dock repaired or maybe replaced at my wife's family's little cottage they have. And she's like, "Can we go? Can we go fishing? Can we go fishing?" I said, "Not today," but she loves it. And we were seeing people fishing at the dam too, so she's all about it. She caught last year big. I think it was a couple of them she caught bass. And ever since, she'd been hooked. So to speak, she loves it. She loves it. Okay, hang on. Let me see. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the chat today. Let me see if I can read through some of these comments too. And I got a couple of phone calls I got to make sure we get through. An after show, the show after the show coming up. Dan paid $440 in Florida yesterday. That's pretty high, especially for Florida. So it's not just a Michigan thing. We're seeing prices all over. I think we heard that yesterday. Let's see. Gritter says she can fish at my place while you cut the grass. That's great. Debate in Hudsonville next Friday. Where was the debate? It was in Oakland County. I can't remember where specifically, but it was like a manufacturing forum / debate. And I'm going to tell you, maybe saw 30 seconds of it. I just, there's so much going on yesterday, so I hadn't had a chance. I said, well, I'll see if there's any big clips or something that comes out of it. We can get into it, but I love that they're having conversations. I love that they're having debates, and I love that, we get a chance to talk to folks. It's still early for a lot of people. It's still really early. And that's why I think the thing particularly about these gas prices, somebody said, and I get it. I think somebody said something about the fence sitters may be more likely. I think it was Chuck. If the gas prices come down for summer, and I would like to see that too. I just don't know that completely. See, that people are so. That we got memories like goldfish. Speaking of fish, they're doing it on Fox News right now. Trump, gas prices to drop like a rock after the war is over. Which kind of the point anyway. But they have minds and memories like a goldfish. A lot of folks just whatever you've done for me lately is the thing. Hang on, folks. Back on the air.
Gallon of gas is now $4.30 in this country.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
A reporter asking President Trump about $4 and plus gas at the pump right now. Here's what he said in the Oval yesterday.
In the hands of Iran. The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down. But what won't happen is if Iran had a nuclear weapon and used it, then the whole world is a different place.
What about
You're not going to have to pay a little bit more for
like a rock. All right, we'll be watching. And we should have, in fact, today or later this weekend, we may even have more updates. We'll wait till we see. Kevin on line one, want to make sure we squeeze you in. Thank you for your patience, sir.
Yeah, how you doing?
Fantastic. You're on the air.
Good. So I'm calling. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. Kind of motivated to make this call, given some of the protests that have been going on around the city. In particular, one that really got my attention was at the Long Road Distillers last week. It was kind of a spontaneous. I think it was an anti-ICE protest. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I do respect the First Amendment. I respect everybody's right to protest. I know the city of Grand Rapids has their administrative policy. I think it's 17-01, the guidelines for protests. But essentially, they're pretty limited. You can't get off the sidewalk. You can't be loud and all that. And the only time you need a permit is for much larger gatherings, apparently. So my suggestion to the mayor and the city commission is to implement a new law or a policy that essentially requires all protests, any of them, to be planned and approved by the city with a formal permit to do so. There should be none of these surprise protests. There are patrons trying to enjoy a meal or a beverage at Long Road, and they got interrupted. It was loud. It was annoying. So, anywhere in the city property, private businesses, they really should have a law that says you have to apply for a permit. We have to evaluate it, where, when, and how long, and how many people. And if they violate it, you got to put some teeth in it, so they either get fined or they go to jail. That would include no protests inside city buildings. Again, privately owned businesses.
Kevin,
like to see this
Kevin,
brought up.
We're going to run out of town. I think you make some good points here. There's some of this that I would agree. First of all, you're not allowed to protest inside a private business. These people aren't protesters; they're trespassers, and they could be arrested and should be kicked out, and also should be. That is between the people that own the business. They have to ask the police to do this and trespass these people, and I'm sure some would. The reason they protested at Long Road, I guess it's owned by the mayor and a former commissioner. Apparently, I don't know, but you're right. That group that protested there is one of the worst. They've showed up at those city commission meetings, et cetera. And you're right. I think there's a fair amount that should be looked at on these protests. I just don't know exactly what they can do. My question to you, and then I've only got about 10 seconds here to ask you this for your answer, bud. What's the likelihood that the city actually does any of this?
Yeah, no kidding. That's probably never going to happen.
Yeah.
But, we always hear from the other side, never from the larger section of the community.
Yeah. Well, that's because we're too busy working. Thank you. Thank you for your call. What a great day. Kevin, I appreciate you. Hang on one second. I'm going to get your info. Because he was so patient to get on the air and make that point. Hang on, we'll get you something for calling in and be a part of Free for All Friday. Just not enough time. There's just not enough time. The fastest hour on radio is flying by again. We'll be back with you Monday. The Glenn Beck program coming in next, and we'll try and squeeze more into the after show, the show after the show. Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Locals, YouTube, JustinBarkley.com, my favorite place. You can listen live and archived at the iHeartRadio app. Download it. And do it today. Make it a great one, folks. God bless. God, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give those who trespass against us.
Next on Wood Radio.
An iHeart radio station.
Guaranteed human.
With iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners.
I just realized you guys didn't get to hear the prayer. Hang on. Let me fix that real quick.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
All right. Good. Good. Stand by for news. Oh, hang on. That's what is this? All right. Click a few buttons here, and then we're going to be off and running. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barkley. To the after show, the show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. Never a dull moment. Never have time to get to it all. But we'll try and cram the rest of it. We got, 10 pounds of show and a 5-pound sack. That's how it works every day. I'll try to cram the rest of it in for you, make sure we get it all covered, and just appreciate your support and you being here. If you haven't shared the show yet today, click share over on Facebook, Twitter X, Rumble, Locals, YouTube, you name it, and somebody, for the show's all said and done with today, going to win something cool from inside the store, Justin's store. Go to justinbarclay.com and click on the store and do some shopping. I'd love to, by the way, I'd love to give you this stuff for free. T-shirt, a hoodie, a mug, you name it. We'll give you a chance to win it inside our contest. The sharing is caring. That's what we tell our little girls. Sharing is caring. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. Healthwithjustin.com. Great conversation coming out a little bit later this week, and it'll drop for everybody over on the podcast, all over. Maha Missy with a big update, but she's Maha Missy from My Pure Health Solutions, walking alongside Lizzie and myself, down 30 pounds, and actually more for both of us, feeling better than ever. A lot of people report no more joint issues. They get to come off some of the medications that they're on. You're healing from the inside out. Check it out today when you go to healthwithjustin.com. You can see all of the different before and after photos. Hear the stories, the great details, how they've gotten rid of the inflammation, the joint pain, all of those things that they've been dealing with. Yes, get a boost of energy so that you can play with the grandkids. Healthwithjustin.com. Feel and look years younger. Get off that sleep apnea machine. Folks are doing it all the time. 269-964-4044. 269-964-4044. And would love to see you on that Maha mission with me. Sleep is a big part of it, right? Getting healthy again. The entire country, as a matter of fact, mypillow.com/Justin. Big sales right now. Mike Lindell, you can support him and the show when you go to mypillow.com/Justin. The pillows, the mattress pads, the toppers, the Giza Dream Sheets, the towels. If you need something for your house, check with Mike first. That's always how I do it. And you can support this program when you do. All right. Like I said, lots to discuss today that we really didn't even have time for. What do I have to make sure that I squeeze in today? Because I do have some good news. Make sure I do that. I got some Maha news. And we got the brand new clip, the slow motion video of the assassination, the latest anyway, the assassination attempt. All part of it coming out. Let's watch. This one's rather lengthy. We may not watch all of it, but let's watch part of this together at least as we kick things off. This is the video that's come out, the FBI. It's now evidence. This was in the court. Let's play it out. This is right around 9 p.m. You see the hallway. This is the guy suspect walking through the hallway there. They got him on camera. I'll fast forward. Here he is coming into the gym at some point. He walks around the gym. This is just extra footage. He's walking out now. 3 minutes go by. He's walking through. Now here he comes in a coat. You see him in his coat now. I've sped this up, some of this, so that we can see. When we get to the actual. Now, this is the part you got to watch. This is where they're outside. They're waiting. Now, if you're watching, you'll be able to see all this. But if you're listening on the podcast, I'll just describe. This is like the lobby. The downstairs area, I would think, is kind of like where they came in. This is like right outside the apparently. So he's coming up some stairs and out an exit. You'll see in the top left if you're watching. There's a dog that follows him into a stairwell. You see one magnetometer, one metal detector being taken out. This dog knew right away this guy was up to no good. The handler takes him away. Now he runs out from that door and in through as one of the metal detectors is actually being taken down. They had two set up here, two different tables. And he's going to run through. He's got a shotgun. And this is where he goes to fire. Apparently, he fires right here. Let me bring it back a little bit. He runs up, shotgun, fires on these three standing here, hits one of them, I believe. This guy's already got his gun up. He saw him coming, drew quickly, and fired. You start to see these are TSA. They're just working the metal detectors and stuff. These are Secret Service. They're taking it. They don't even really understand what's going down. This guy's starting to get it. He's drawing. Takes him a while to get it out. Finally in position, these three come over. After they come up off the metal detector, realize what had happened. By this time, I think the guy's already down or been taken down. I wish we had another camera over here. Now you're starting to see agents come down out of the stairwell. I believe this is the same woman that was at Butler. There's been some question, memes, comments about who she is and her fitness, but apparently the Trump family really likes her and she's competent. Now this is just decreased speed. We don't need to watch it in slow motion, I don't think, but we can. Here he is. They've slowed it down frame by frame. And again, just another one of the pieces of the puzzle of this. Now, there's going to be questions as to the setup. There's going to be questions as to the security protocols. There's going to be questions. So, because this is one lone guy. This is what some people are saying. This one lone guy. This is like a nut job of nobody. He was able to do this. What if this was a plot of some Muslim extremist, Iran, Russia, somebody, China, somebody who want to come in and wreak havoc on that room? These folks, I think it looks like they could have been overwhelmed. So the question about what you actually do moving forward, I'm sure they're going to have these conversations. I think the dog was smarter than that. I think the dog knew. Yeah, you're right, Jason. The guy's only alive today because the cops were worried about Crossfire. I think you're right. There were some shots, but nothing hit him is the problem, Chuck says. I don't know, Chuck. I that's a real tight area. I just don't know. I know there's talk about Secret Service agents as well and their levels and abilities and what's happening behind the scenes. And what if some of these people aren't on the up and up? I understand all of that. I get it. This is something they deal with on a daily basis. I'm very I'm cautious about too much criticism on some of this because we don't still have all the evidence. I know there's a lot of good people that are doing good work. So I'll say that. But this has happened over and over and over again now that there are situations that occur. It's like, how do we not know? I know they're training for this all the time. But how do we not know at this point that these are things that are bound to happen with Trump? I mean, it's like every day there's something new. Anyway, that is video that will be scrutinized for quite some time to come. All right, more on this story, the UAE and OPEC. We got a little bit of a Fox News report on.
Now, former oil cartel member free to pump and export as much oil as at once, including through a pipeline to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, which remains effectively closed. And General Jack Keane says the war has now ground to a stalemate.
They in their minds, can outlast us in the sense that political pressure, getting closer to the midterms, economic pressure with gas prices on the administration, they believe, even though we have the economic blockade, at some point we will end the war, stop everything, or make a deal with them.
And while enforcing the more than 2-week-old blockade, U.S. military Central Command said it has turned away 44 vessels. Good morning, Dana. What
are the contingency plans? Like, what's on the horizon? Because we hear a lot of this back and forth talk. Last night, Jesse talked about CENTCOM commander briefing the president about a final blow, what they might do, and something new called hypersonic Dark Eagle missiles. Bombers surging, carriers stacked. The president says they're sitting in a cave. These are the folks, the Iranian folks. The ones that are hiding out, though, anyway, the ones that are left, anyway.
Fox News alert, it's decision time. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper has just briefed the president in the Situation Room about what could be the final blow. The U.S. military is preparing for a short and powerful wave of strikes. Targets include the enemy's remaining military assets, leadership, and infrastructure.
Iran is proving to be very stubborn. The talks seem like they are stalled. Are you getting antsy to break the ceasefire?
Well, I mean, I don't know what stubborn is, because really nobody knows what the talks are except myself and a couple of other people. They want to make a deal badly.
In case the Iranians needed a little nudge, the Pentagon's contemplating bringing a brand new weapon to the battlefield. The mother of all hypersonics, the Dark Eagle. It can hit targets 2,000 miles away. The enemy's last ballistic missile launchers are in the crosshairs. B-1 bombers have been surging into the region, and they can be armed with up to 5,000 pounds of hypersonics. It's a big payload. We're about to hit day 60 of the war. And if we're going by the book, and if you're asking Congress, that means the deadline for Operation Epic Fury expires tomorrow. But Trump could also do what Clinton and Obama did and ignore Congress and keep firing. The Secretary of War says technically we paused the clock 2 weeks ago.
Is the president intending to either seek congressional authorization for the war in Iran or send us the legally required certification that he needs an additional 30 days to remove U.S. forces?
We are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire.
If Kane's right, that means Trump has 24 hours. The president's being presented with options. On top of airstrikes, Admiral Cooper also reportedly briefed the president on seizing the Strait, a ground assault on the coastline and strategic islands, which would be a shame for Iran because today they're celebrating Persian Gulf Day. Here's a quote from the gay Ayatollah. Foreigners who come from thousands of kilometers away with greedy intentions have no place there except at the bottom of the waters.
You know, this idea that Iran would or could control, this one wacky country would or could control the entire strait is absolutely insane. And this is an idea whose time has come to pass because there are other countries that understand that they have. In fact, you got countries leaving OPEC. They see the difference. They see a future, a bright one, without Iran, and they want them gone even more so than America.
Tough talk from a guy with no lips. And the only ships at the bottom of the water are Iranian. We've also turned around 40.
That's good. That's good. It's true. Now, I don't know what's coming this weekend. I will say that I think some of this idea about the president having to be done by a certain time and there's like a time limit. I don't think that's going to hold. Some of what we're hearing out of the administration is because of the ceasefire. It doesn't, they're not bound by that. Meanwhile, it's a party down in Florida at the Villages. This is the retirement. I don't know if you know anything about but they're like their own city, government. It's crazy.
Trump? Yes. All right, let's go.
Just a retirement community, but look at all these folks lining up to see Trump, who will speak there today. This is hilarious. Wow.
Are we fired up today? That's it. Hey, Donald Trump. There we go. What's your message for President Trump? We love you, Donald Trump. There you go.
Welcome to Middleton.
Yeah, we're Middleton. Let's go. All right. The line just keeps going and going, doesn't it?
That's going to be a big one. I don't know what time that happens today, but he will speak there. I think it's the afternoon, and then eventually heads to Mar-a-Lago for more updates. And of course, as I mentioned, that's just part of what's coming this weekend. I don't know. I'm going to be careful about how I approach this because there's some things happening. I'm not exactly sure. But there are, depending upon who you believe, conflicting reports about the size of Tucker Carlson's audience, the size of Candace Owens' audience, the people that are watching and listening to these programs. I think a lot of this, and I understand why it's happening, but I think a lot of this is getting lost in the weeds. Why? Because I think these people are effective. I don't care what the size of their audience is, and the fact that you're talking about them, whether you're just trying to discredit them or not, even makes them, I think, still yet effective. Tucker Carlson's network, after I think some of the criticism came out by Trump, posted their numbers. Now they have Tucker Carlson Network sees historic growth as audiences flock to independent coverage of the Iran war. That's what they've put out. Fox primetime viewers, April 2026, 3.2 million. Tucker Carlson tonight, October 2020, was 5.3 million. And then they compare it to Tucker Carlson Network average episode views across socials and podcast platforms since Iran war, 56.8 million. Now, that's a big number. However, I have some questions. Number one, we're comparing apples to oranges when we're saying like people who watch primetime on Fox, they only have 3.2. That's cable viewers. Well, this Tucker Carlson 56.8 million number, that's not just whoever watched a live show. And here's the graphic, so if you want to see it. That's people who watched a live show. That's people who watched any sort of restream or clips put out. Okay, and again, I don't know where they're getting all the figures from. Some of it might be podcast numbers, as well. But like, I would imagine it's just anything that anybody watched, anything from Tucker on that episode, even if it was a 30-second clip or a minute clip or a 5-second clip. I think they're probably counting that. I don't know. I would count it. I think it's fair to count it. I think it counts as if people do not view media like they used to. We come on, we do this 2-hour stream with you every day on the weekdays. I do my radio show. You're watching me do the radio show. We do the after show. That gets podcasted. All this stuff goes out on these different platforms. I don't care where you watch me. I don't care, and I don't think Tucker does either. I don't care where you get this, just as long as you get it. And I think that's essentially, that's the new game. Fox News, though, and that's why I think the graphics is misleading. Fox News is doing the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing right now. But this is a big number. It's a good number, but I will tell you, our numbers have come down a little bit because I think, again, Facebook plays games. But I just give you a little bit of a heads up. Our Facebook page had 40-something million views in the last week or month or so. Now that's, like I said, they've kind of put the brakes on it. And this is funny thing about Facebook, but things can heat up and they can cool right on down. This is what happens. So again, this idea that they're not effective, I don't think is legitimate. But I will say it does, for just somebody who's in the space, it does make me, it does actually make me wonder This woman says, because there's some new hacking numbers that have come out. Yeah. She actually, I think she talks about it in here. We'll monitor for language real quick. I don't know. But there are some new numbers, some hackers. And again, take this with whatever grain of salt you want. But there are people making the point that Tucker only has about 7,000 subscribers, 7.3 or whatever. That's still a pretty good number. These are people that pay, I don't know what, it's $10 a month or whatever it is. That's still a pretty good number. You know, it's in contrast to the 56.8, but again, there's only so many people that are going to pay for your content, right? Those are subscribers. We have the same model. There's a certain number of people, the small, the VIP, the most devoted are going to pay to support the content. Then there are ads, right? This is every time I talk about a supporter like MyPillow or any number, those people help power the program as well. And there's some other things. Tucker also has, I'm sure, other ways that they fund what they're doing as well. But this back and forth is really interesting.
Why are they lying about Tucker Carlson's numbers? 56.8 million is what they're saying. They're saying that's all of his viewership. But somebody just got into his systems and the numbers are vastly different than what the media is reporting. So Impulsive is saying Tucker Carlson runs on a database called Supabase with no access control, so anybody can query it and then count the rows. The user profiles table, which holds every account that is ever registered on his platform, has 7,290 entries. That's how many people are subscribed to Tucker Carlson's show. The 56.8 million number on TCN's infographic isn't subscribers. Read the fine print. Average episode views across socials and podcast platforms. That means that they are adding up all the different platforms: YouTube, X, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and everywhere else. So again, why are they lying about the numbers? And he only has 7,000 subscribers? And you're saying that he has 56.8 million views per episode. Does that math add up to you? Someone else also got into his systems, and allegedly most of his viewership is from foreign countries.
Okay, so I'm just going to tell you, like, again, you have to take this with a grain of salt. I don't know. Is it possible? Yes, all of this is possible. Again, I don't take issue with the fact they're going to combine all the views from all over the places, because a view is a view of view. Now, what I would want to know more so is, did the same person view something on X and view it on Facebook and view it on YouTube and view it on the podcast and et cetera? That's what I would want to know. Are these people seeing the stuff over and over and over again? The question is are the influencers actually influential? That is the question that people are trying to answer right now. And the other question is are the influencers influenced? Who's influencing the influencers? All of these are fair questions, and they ought to be asked, right? And we ought to have some answers to it. But I'm just watching this play out, and I think, okay, I got some of these same questions too, but let's be careful about how we walk this out.
And the other sus thing about all of this is the same agency that pushes out Tucker Carlson works with Candace Owens. So how much of their engagement is real? And how many subscribers do they actually legitimately have?
Well, again, I'm nothing against the woman who's making this video, but a lot of this stuff is not uncommon. People work together. You could say, I work together with the same company that pushes out, well, you could say like the Breakfast Club, that Charlemagne the God guy that's always getting in trouble for things. It's the same company. He must, because I know what company she's talking about, and maybe, but we've got to bring receipts. We can't just. I get it. A lot of that flying around right now. it's to me, it's a little late. We gotta actually, if we're gonna make some accusations, let's bring the receipts. So nothing against her. I just, it's my preference. So.
What do you guys think of this? By the way, I need to add that
She's
this
doing the same thing too, though. I mean, she's out there playing the same game. Where it's engagement, trying to get people engaged, and commenting and clicking and all of that. That's what all this is. We have to acknowledge that.
is all alleged because, I need to protect myself, but I fully believe it. What do you guys think? Let me know.
This is what she said at the end. This is all alleged, by the way, because I have to protect myself. So they're all of that's happening right now. The question is, are they effective? I still think so. And the thing that the thing that I find to be the most interesting of all of this is, again, how fast it's happened, how quickly it's moved, and how people that, like a Tucker, like, you'd say, like, I love that guy. What happened to Tucker, right? And still, I was never a big Candace. I never really watched or knew much about Candace. So that's not one that I can, address as much. But Tucker is a guy who I'm baffled by. I mean, some of it I understand, but I am curious. Okay, this is funny. This guy is getting into Candace. Now, Candace is being sued right now. This guy did Tucker. I've not seen this yet, so I don't know. He was funny when he did the Tucker stuff. So I got to see. This is some of the Candace. There's some leaked text messages right now, apparently between Candace and somebody else. She was saying that she believed Erica and the folks at TPUSA, I think, is the a key here. Is I think that what she was saying is they were responsible for Charlie's death.
All right, you guys, this just in. Breaking news. Apparently, we have private text messages that are being released that show certain things that they claim I said. First of all, I just want to say these are text messages. It's
the little bit that I've seen, he is matching kind of the tonality and the pace.
A screenshot, of a private conversation that Andrew Colvett has released. I don't know what kind of person would do that. Who would ever release a screenshot of a private text message conversation?
This guy, I don't know how he does it too. Like, apparently him, and then there's another guy that puts himself in the View all the time. You ever see him? Like, he puts himself in the View and like he answers the questions. How they do it with the green screen background and everything. It really is. It's quite a time to be alive. Again, I'm not bashing any of these people, but this is hilarious. A Milk Bar TV. I just think there's so much more. This is entertaining, but there's so much more going on. I really want to see us come back together. And hopefully maybe we can do that. I don't know. Right now, I think a lot of this division is being done on purpose, whether the people understand it or not. So Jessica says, Candace wanted to get sued. Now she gets discovery. Yeah, but it's the same the other way around, though, Jessica. Now they'll get discovery on her. So I don't know that anybody ever wants to get sued. I don't know. Maybe you want to get sued because people will talk about you. I mean, you love Candace, that's fine. If you love Tucker, that's fine. I'm just telling you, as somebody who, like, I'm not in either one of these camps. And I'm not, like, anti. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. To me, from the outside, I think most people look at this and say it's a bunch of kids just like, toddlers, like, arguing with each other. Anyway, somebody made this. It's a mashup of all the funny things that Candace has said. No, I probably said a bunch of. If somebody took all my flubs and put them together, I'm sure they'd have they'd have plenty of mistakes, but this is kind of funny. It shows it's kind of AOC or Ilhan Omar World War III level type of stuff.
Obviously, she has millions of followers, and you think, okay, this is an illiterate person. Kind of read books. I'm just fascinated with learning real history because I think that truth is kind of, what actually has happened, the events of our world, is obviously, as the expression goes, way stranger in fiction. To do it again posthumously, Charlie Kirk, the founder of
Stranger in Fiction, posthumous.
USA will be
it's stranger than fiction and posthumously
honored a posthumous award. They've decided posthumously, cordially accepted those posthumous terms. SCIF, which stands for a sensitive, compartmented. If you can't compartmentalize, and a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize. The IDF even dropped napalm.
What was it?
Compartmentalize. The IDF.
Okay, I'm hearing this like it's so. Some of this stuff is so obvious, but I will say this: like, I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but when you talk and you just talk and you talk and you're doing these monologues, or sometimes your brain, compartmentalize. Sometimes your brain just goes. You say the wrong thing. I catch myself doing it all the time. I catch myself saying the wrong word. I say, no, I meant this. Like as it's happening, because your brain's going so fast. Sometimes it's just like going on. I don't know. It's like goes on the rhythm of what you're trying to say, and then eventually you can. Oh, that was weird. So I can laugh at this and also kind of excuse some of it at the same time, because I've been there.
Even dropped napalm 12.5 miles off the coast of the Sinai Peninsula. Is that correct when you arrive into the Sinai Peninsula?
Sinai.
Illiterate person in Portland, Oregon. The Hamptons debacle came up. Hamptons, okay? Remember that whole debacle? We knew a kerfluffle happened as this.
Okay. Debacle, kerfluffle. That's good. I love
dress kerfluffle.
Here's another thing that I think people miss too. Like, now, I'm not saying she's doing this, but sometimes on social media, people they make mistakes on purpose because it makes them more sticky. One of the things is people make mistakes on shorts or YouTube's, TikTok, Instagram, etc., because it causes people to come into the chat and talk about that thing because they can't help but talk about it. It's a debacle. And so that makes engagement go up.
Causes this whole race kerfluffle. Ways that you can honor Charlie. Stop telling us that it has to always be Miss Macabre, like retired Green Beret, allegedly a heart attack.
Oh yeah, the Green Beret thing. That I remember that.
Normal passion, not this like chat GBT. At last I checked, everybody uses the terminology blitz. Blitzkrieg. Everybody uses the term blitzkrieg. And so I called it Blitzkrieg Week. You can't even say blitz means lightning. Krieg means war. And the NFL football team say blitzkrieg. Like, God, like, no, he just liked the architecture. Smells in the bell.
Architecture.
He loved the architecture. It was about the architecture. Like, yeah, no, like he loved the architecture. I think this may have been about more than the architecture. Jewish people were in control of the slave trade. They've buried a lot of it. Buried the Charlie Kirk story. What about his burial? How come we haven't seen anything about his burial? Alex Jones was just burying himself. And Alex Jones jumped into the foray. Mock me and Tucker Carlson. It's always got to be Tucker Carlson, Cameras Owens. And, of course, the world is quite literally a stage. By the way, I always wonder where that expression comes from.
Wait, is this AI? Did she really call herself Cameras Owens? Cameras? Is she reading this stuff? Like, what's happening? Is that real? I don't think I'd ever mispronounce my own name.
Jumped into the foray. Mock me and Tucker Carlson. It's always got to be Tucker Carlson, Cameras Owens. And, of course, the world.
Is this AI? Are we watching AI? Okay, I can't. My brain's gonna break. My brain itself is gonna break as I watch all of this. Hey, by the way, same time we're talking about Iran and everything else. Jessica says it is AI. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Hey, look at the stock market right now. 49,876. We're up 200 points in the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ. Now I know you got, $5 a gallon gas, but this is something that again is I'm just telling you, stock market up, gas prices down. It's possible. I know I mentioned this earlier, but it's possible that by the end of all of it, as we move on out through election day, it is possible that you could see all of this turned around. I know you got to look at what Trump's doing. He's still kind of got a really good, I know, he'll tap out some mean tweets or whatever, right? And I know we want mean tweets and low gas, cheap gas. I know we get it. But look at this as the guy. By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's about to take a question from Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who's a reporter. Is he with Newsmax? I think he's with Newsmax. Anyway, he's going to take a question, and then he kind of gives it a sign. Listen to the sense of humor this guy has. I don't really think anything bothers this guy.
You act so good. I love this. He's a great guy. Even though I don't love his girlfriend too much, okay? I won't tell you who the girlfriend is, but I like him, and I've always liked him. It's great that he hasn't changed. But Brian, I think here's the problem. You act so good. I love this.
That's incredible. So that's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. All right. I can't. That's about all I could. Is there anything? Yeah, I do. I do have something for you. I got some good news. I want to do this one. A Detroit bus driver, hailed as a hero, went on an adventure, See, look, I just did it. The brain's trying to say adventure. I'm reading adventure. That's the headline here. And the mouth said advention. That's kind of like a mix between invention and adventure. He went on an adventure. Anyway, he saved this 9-year-old kid. This is such a great story.
Face the music right away. I think all of us are guilty of this at some point in our lives.
Yeah, probably so. Well, a Detroit 9-year-old who'd made a mistake or two, maybe at school, got the urge to hop on a DDOT bus rather than face discipline at home. Suddenly, he became a missing child. But it all ended well thanks to an alert bus driver and Detroit police. Jay Scott Smith is live tonight at one of the stops on this youngster's adventure. Jay, tell us more.
Yeah, this is an adventure that wouldn't have gone well for me if I had suddenly done it at 9 years old. But this young man, as you mentioned, didn't want to face the music, but it was quick thinking by a DDOT driver that made sure that he got home safely.
What'd you tell him when he was talking
I was going to my auntie's house.
April 10th was an adventurous day for 9-year-old Kyari Harris. It was the quick thinking of a DDOT bus driver and a group of Detroit police officers who were honored today by the city that made sure he got back home.
King got in trouble at school, and he knew he would be in trouble when he got home, so he just decided not to come home.
Mary Wynn.
Yeah, this is all presented without comment, by the way. I have to be on my best behavior here.
Is Kyari's mother. Harris, who goes by the nickname King, started his day at Nichols Elementary School on the city's east side and ended at a McDonald's in Lincoln Park.
He went on what he would call his adventure.
That adventure started when he got off his normal school bus, cut through an alley, then hopped on a DDOT bus that took him to the Rosa Parks Transportation Center downtown.
It was something kind of off on this. I'm like, I was just saying, like, why this kid...
This is the guy we ought to have the story about. This is the bus driver.
Getting on my bus and by himself.
Thomas Bergen was driving the bus when he saw the young man hop on. Surveillance footage from the inside of the bus shows King sitting in the back as the bus rolls along and starts to empty out on its final stop. And that's when word went over the radio to be on the lookout for a missing child.
Man, that's the kid. So he's sitting in the back, and I'm like, I'm glad that he stayed on the bus, until the end.
Bergen can be seen asking Harris where he's going, and the kid quickly exits the bus and starts walking toward the McDonald's. The bus's cameras and Bergen's catching him walking away.
When I took that last picture, I got back on the bus and I called it in, told him, I said, hey, this is the kid.
King eventually stopped at the Mickey D's, where he was quickly picked up by police and returned to his worried mother. And while she was not happy about his little adventure, she was thankful to have him back.
Not bad.
I'm grateful for the bus driver. I'm grateful that there was cameras on the bus. Like, as old as I am, I never paid attention to the fact that there's cameras on the bus. I thank the bus driver for going over and beyond.
Yeah. That.
And also, it wasn't just the bus driver, Bergen, who was recognized. The dispatcher, Stephen Lindsay, as well as all the police officers involved, were also recognized today. And as for young King, he tried to smooth things over with his mom the only way you could imagine, with McDonald's French fries. We're live in downtown Detroit at the Transit Center. I'm Jay Scott Smith for Local 4.
I'll tell you what, I would have been able to sit down for like a week probably if I had done that. But thank God he's home. In this situation, and I get hats off to the bus driver doing the right thing there in a world where lots of people just don't, because it's just too easy not to. And not doing the right thing is just simply just neglecting it, leaving it alone. It was so weird. We were driving to church this week. I don't know, this week or last week, I don't remember. We were driving to church, and we're driving down a busy road. And there's a couple of kids playing out by the road, and I thought to myself, I can't not, because one of them was really small, young, could run into the street and get hurt. And I thought, we got to go back. So I went back, checked on them. They were actually, his big sister was with them. So like they were kind of said, you guys okay? But what went through my mind is like, why go back? They're going to think you're like trying to kidnap them or something. That's the kind of thing you deal with. You have to do the right thing. And sometimes it's not always easy to do that. Well, most times it's not. Anyway, hats off to them today. Hey, congratulations to our winner, Jim 752279 from Rumble today. Thank you for weighing in and, of course, helping us. Sharing is caring, folks. Get the word out about what's happening here. Make sure you go online, do your shopping on the store, Jim. Let us know what you want. Justin at justinbarclay.com. In the meantime, make it a great weekend, folks. God bless.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.